What if I told you that the difference between people who succeed and people who don't is not luck, not talent, and not even money, but just one simple thing they think about every day? Sounds strange, right? But let's look at a small story. John was a regular guy. He had a simple job, earned just enough, and always felt stuck. Every day, he would think, life is hard. I can't do much. One day, his friend Mike asked him a simple question. What do you really want? John didn't have an answer. He had never seriously thought about it. That was the moment everything started to change. He began asking himself that question again and again. Slowly his thinking changed, and so did his actions. This is exactly what the first chapter of the book _Think and Grow Rich _ is trying to explain. The chapter is called Desire, and the main idea is very simple. If you want to achieve something big in life, you must first have a strong and clear desire for it. Not a weak wish like, it would be nice, but a powerful decision like, I will make this happen. The book starts with a story of a man named Edwin Barnes. He had one big dream. He wanted to work with a famous inventor named Thomas Edison. But here's the important part. He didn't just want a job. He wanted to become Edison's business partner. Now think about that. Barnes was not rich. He had no big connections. He didn't even have enough money for travel. But his desire was so strong that he decided he would find a way. When Barnes finally reached Edison, he didn't look like someone important. But Edison noticed something in him. It was his determination. Barnes was ready to do anything to stay close to his goal. At first, he got a small, low-level job. Nothing special. Most people would feel disappointed and give up, but not Barnes. He kept his goal clear in his mind. He waited, worked, and stayed ready. One day, an opportunity came. Edison had created a new machine, but no one believed it would sell well. Barnes saw this as his chance. He believed in it, worked hard, and proved everyone wrong. That one moment changed his life. He became successful because he was prepared and because his desire never changed. Now, what does this teach us? The first lesson is that a strong desire is the starting point of all success. Many people say they want to be successful, but their desire is weak. It disappears when things get hard. A strong desire is different. It stays even when you face problems. It pushes you to keep going. Think about Sarah. She says she wants to be a doctor, but she doesn't study regularly. She gets distracted easily. When exams come, she feels stressed. Why? Because her desire is not strong enough. Now imagine another student, Emma. She also wants to be a doctor, but she studies every day, even when she feels tired. She makes small sacrifices. She keeps her goal clear in her mind. That's the power of strong desire. It changes your actions. The second lesson is that you must be clear about what you want. Not just, I want money or I want success. That is too vague. The book says you should know exactly how much money you want, what you want to achieve, and by when. This might sound very simple, but most people don't do it. Let's go back to John. Before, he used to say, I want a better life, but that didn't help him. Later, he changed it to, I want to earn a specific amount every month, and I will learn new skills to achieve it. Now his mind had a clear target. Once your goal is clear, your brain starts finding ways to reach it. The third lesson is that you must be ready to give something in return. Nothing comes for free. If you want success, you have to give time, effort, and focus. Many people want results without putting in the work. That never works. Mike wanted to start his own business. He dreamed about earning a lot of money, but he didn't want to learn new skills or take risks. So nothing changed. On the other hand, Alex also wanted to start a business. He spent hours learning, failed many times, and kept improving. Slowly, he started seeing results. The difference was simple. Alex was willing to give something in return. The book also suggests a simple method. First, decide exactly what you want. Second, decide what you will give to achieve it. Third, set a time limit. Fourth, create a clear plan. And fifth, repeat your goal to yourself every day. Not like magic, but as a reminder. This helps you stay focused. Let's understand this with a small journey. At the beginning, John felt stuck. He had no clear goal, no strong desire, and no plan. This was the problem. Then he started thinking deeply about what he really wanted. This gave him clarity. That was the understanding. After that, he made a simple plan. He decided to learn new skills for 2 hours every day. He reduced time on distractions. Slowly, he improved. That was the solution. The biggest change was not outside. It was inside his mind. His thinking became focused. His actions became stronger. And his results started improving. One important thing the chapter shows is that success is not about starting with perfect conditions. Barnes did not wait until he had money or support. He started with what he had. Many people wait for the right time, but that time never comes. The real change begins when you decide clearly and act on it. Also, desire alone is not enough if it is just a feeling. It must turn into action. Think of it like this. If you are hungry, just thinking about food will not help. You have to get up and eat. In the same way, desire must push you to take steps. Another simple idea is persistence. When things don't work immediately, many people stop. But success usually takes time. Barnes didn't become successful in one day. He stayed patient and ready. That patience came from a strong desire. So if we put everything together, the first chapter is teaching one powerful idea. If you truly want something, you must decide clearly, believe in it, and work towards it without giving up. It sounds simple, but it is not easy. That is why many people fail. Not because they cannot succeed, but because they don't follow the simple process fully. Let's bring it back to you. Think about your own life. Do you have a clear goal? Or is it just a vague idea? Do you really want it? Or do you just like the idea of it? Are you ready to give time and effort for it? These questions are important. You don't need to start big. Even a small, clear goal is enough. For example, if you want to improve your skills, decide what exactly you want to learn, how much time you will give daily, and when you want to see results. Then follow it consistently. At the end, the message is very simple. Big success always starts with a clear and strong desire. When your desire is strong, your mind becomes focused. When your mind is focused, your actions become stronger. And when your actions are strong and consistent, results will come. So the real question is not, can I succeed? The real question is, how badly do I want it? What if I told you that one simple idea could change the direction of your life? Not by magic, but by the way you think and act every day. Imagine this. A boy named John wanted a bicycle. Not just any bicycle, but a specific one he saw in a store. At first, he just wishes for it. He thinks it would be nice to have it. But nothing happens. Days pass, and the bicycle is still in the store. Then one day, John changes something. He stops wishing and starts deciding. He says, I will get that bicycle. From that moment, his behavior changes. He saves money, does small jobs, avoids wasting time, and keeps thinking about that goal. Slowly, step by step, he gets closer. After some time, he finally buys that bicycle. What changed? The bicycle was always there. The difference was his level of desire. This is exactly what Chapter 2 of the book _Think and Grow Rich _ talks about. The chapter is called Desire, and it explains that strong desire is the starting point of all success. Not a weak wish, not a casual thought, but a deep, clear, and burning desire. The author explains this idea using simple logic. If your goal is not strong enough in your mind, your actions will also be weak. And if your actions are weak, your results will also be small. But when your desire becomes strong, your brain starts working differently. You begin to notice opportunities, you stay focused, and you don't give up easily. The main idea of this chapter is very simple. If you truly want something, you must decide exactly what you want and be serious about it. Just saying, I want to be rich or I want to be successful is not enough. That is too vague. Your mind needs clarity. For example, instead of saying, I want money, you should say something like, I want to earn this much money by this time. When your goal is clear, your brain has a direction to follow. Without direction, it is like trying to walk in the dark without knowing where you are going. One important lesson from this chapter is that desire must be specific. Let's take Sarah as an example. Sarah says, I want to do well in life. That sounds nice, but it is not clear. What does do well mean? Does she want a job? Does she want to start a business? Does she want to learn a skill? Because her goal is unclear, she keeps jumping from one thing to another. She starts something, then leaves it, then tries something else. After months, she is still confused. Now imagine Sarah changes her approach. She says, I want to become a graphic designer and earn a certain amount in 1 year. Now her mind has a target. She knows what to learn, where to focus, and how to measure progress. This clarity comes from a strong and specific desire. Another key lesson is that desire needs a price. Nothing comes for free. If you want something, you must be ready to give something in return. This does not mean money only. It can be your time, effort, comfort, or habits. For example, Mike wants to get fit. He says he really wants it. But he also wants to eat junk food, sleep late, and avoid exercise. In reality, his desire is weak because he is not ready to pay the price. Now imagine Mike decides, I want to get fit, and I am ready to wake up early, exercise daily, and control my diet. Now his actions match his desire. This is when real change starts. The book explains this idea in a very practical way. It says that if your desire is strong enough, you will find ways to solve problems. If your desire is weak, even small problems will stop you. Think about a simple situation. If you are a little hungry, you might ignore it. But if you are very hungry, you will find food somehow. You will not just sit and complain. This shows how strong desire pushes action. Another important point is that desire must be repeated and remembered. You cannot just think about your goal once and forget it. Your mind needs constant reminders. When you keep thinking about your goal, your brain starts treating it as important. It begins to guide your decisions in that direction. For example, Emma wants to save money to buy a laptop. If she thinks about it once and forgets, she might spend money on random things. But if she reminds herself daily, I am saving for my laptop, she will naturally avoid unnecessary spending. Her small daily choices will support her goal. The chapter also suggests a simple process. First, decide exactly what you want. Second, decide what you will give in return. Third, set a time limit. Fourth, make a simple plan. And finally, repeat your goal to yourself every day. This is not about magic or luck. It is about training your mind to stay focused. When your mind is focused, your actions become consistent. And consistent action leads to results. Let's look at a small journey to understand this better. Imagine a boy named Alex. Alex feels stuck. He wants to improve his life, but he does not know how. He says things like, I wish things were better, but he does nothing specific. Days pass and nothing changes. One day, he understands that wishing is not enough. He decides to choose one goal. He says, I want to learn coding and get a job in 6 months. Now he has clarity. Next, he asks himself, what will I give for this? He decides to spend 2 hours every day learning and practicing. He also reduces time spent on games and social media. Then, he creates a simple plan. He chooses a course, sets daily tasks, and tracks his progress. Every morning and night, he reminds himself of his goal. At first, it is not easy. He feels tired, sometimes confused, and sometimes wants to quit. But his desire is strong, so he keeps going. Slowly, he starts understanding concepts. He builds small projects. After some months, he feels more confident. Eventually, he applies for jobs and gets one. The result did not come suddenly. It came step by step, because his desire guided his actions. This chapter is not saying that desire alone will give you success. It is saying that desire is the starting point. Without it, nothing begins. It is like a car without fuel. You may have a good plan, good tools, and good ideas, but without desire, you will not move. And if your desire is strong, even if you start with little knowledge or resources, you will find ways to improve. Another simple way to understand this is to think about attention. Your brain pays attention to what you care about. If you care deeply about something, you notice things related to it. For example, if you decide to buy a certain phone, suddenly you start noticing that phone everywhere. It was always there, but now your brain is focused on it. In the same way, when your desire is strong, you start noticing opportunities, ideas, and people that can help you reach your goal. At the end, the message of this chapter is very clear and practical. If you want to change your life, Do not start with random actions. Start with a clear and strong desire. Decide exactly what you want. Be honest about what you are ready to give in return. Keep your goal in your mind every day. Then take small, consistent steps. You do not need to do everything at once. Just move forward daily. So next time you say, I want something, pause for a moment and ask yourself, do I really want it or am I just wishing? That one question can change everything. Because when your desire becomes real, your actions follow. And when your actions stay consistent, results are only a matter of time. Imagine this for a moment. Two people want the same thing. Both want to be successful. Both work hard. But after some time, one person starts moving ahead, making progress, getting results. The other stays stuck, even though they are trying just as hard. Why does this happen? What is the difference? Is it luck or something else? Let's look at a simple story. John works at a small store. He earns enough to manage his daily needs, but he wants more. He wants to grow, earn better, and live a comfortable life. Every day he tells himself, I wish I could be successful. But after saying that, he just goes back to his routine. He works, comes home, watches videos, and sleeps. Now there is Mike. He also works a similar job. He also wants success. But there is one small difference. Mike doesn't just wish. He keeps thinking about his goal again and again. He imagines it clearly. He plans what he can do. He looks for chances. Slowly, he starts taking small steps. Over time, Mike begins to move forward. This difference between John and Mike is exactly what Chapter 3 of the book, Think and Grow Rich, talks about. This chapter is called Faith. But don't think of faith in a religious way. Here, it means something very practical. It means having strong belief in your goal, created by your own thoughts and actions. The main idea of this chapter is simple. Your mind believes what you keep telling it. And once your mind truly believes something, your actions start to follow that belief. And when your actions change, your results change. Think of your mind like a machine that learns from repetition. If you keep saying, I can't do this, your mind slowly accepts it as true. Then you stop trying. You avoid risks. You stay in your comfort zone. But if you keep saying, I will find a way, your mind starts working differently. It looks for solutions instead of problems. The book explains that faith is not something you are born with. It is something you build, and you build it by repeating your thoughts again and again. Let's break this down in a very simple way. Suppose Sarah wants to become better at speaking in public. Right now, she feels nervous. Every time she thinks about speaking, she says, I am not good at this. Because of this thought, she avoids practice. She avoids opportunities. So her fear stays the same. Now imagine Sarah changes one thing. She starts telling herself every day, I am improving. I can learn this. At first, it feels fake. She doesn't fully believe it, but she keeps repeating it. Slowly, her mind starts accepting this idea. Because of that, she starts taking small actions. She practices a little. She tries once, then again. Over time, she actually improves. This is how faith works in real life. It starts as a repeated thought. Then it becomes a belief. Then it changes your behavior. One important lesson from this chapter is the power of repetition. The book says that your thoughts become stronger when you repeat them often, especially with emotion. But let's understand this logically. When you repeat something many times, your brain treats it as important. It stores it deeper. It becomes automatic. For example, when you learn to ride a bicycle, at first you have to think about every move. But after practice, it becomes automatic. In the same way, your thinking patterns also become automatic through repetition. So if you keep repeating negative thoughts, they become your default thinking. And if you repeat positive and goal-focused thoughts, they also become your default. Another important idea is that belief affects action. This is very practical. If you believe something is possible, you are more likely to try. If you think something is impossible, you don't even start. Take Mike again. When he believes he can grow, he starts looking for ways. He may learn new skills, talk to new people, or try new ideas. Not everything works, but some things do, and those small results build more belief. This creates a cycle. Now look at John. Because he doesn't believe strongly, he doesn't take action. Because he doesn't take action, he doesn't get results. And because he doesn't get results, his belief becomes even weaker. This is also a cycle, but in the wrong direction. So the chapter is really showing two paths. One path is weak belief, no action, no results. The other path is strong belief, action, and gradual progress. There's also another key idea in this chapter. The book talks about something called autosuggestion. This is just a big word for something simple. It means giving instructions to your own mind by repeating thoughts. You do this all the time without noticing. For example, if you keep thinking, "I always mess things up," you are giving that message to your mind. Over time, your mind starts acting according to that message. But you can also use this in a smart way. You can choose what message you want to send to your mind. Let's say Emma wants to start a small business. She feels unsure. Instead of thinking, "What if I fail?" she starts telling herself, "I will learn step by step. I will improve as I go." This message reduces fear. It allows her to begin. Now, this doesn't mean everything becomes easy. The book is not saying that just thinking will make things happen magically. What it is saying is that your thinking controls your actions, and your actions control your results. So if you want better results, you must first change your thinking pattern. Another simple example. Imagine two students preparing for an exam. One keeps saying, "This is too hard. I won't understand it." The other says, "This is hard, but I can break it into small parts." Both face the same difficulty, but their thinking is different. The second student is more likely to keep trying and slowly improve. This is how belief works. It doesn't remove difficulty. It changes how you deal with difficulty. Let's look at a small journey to understand this clearly. Tom wants to improve his life. At first, he has no clear belief. He tries something for a few days, then quits. He gets distracted easily. He feels stuck. One day, he understands a simple idea. His thoughts are shaping his actions. So he decides to change one thing. Every day, he spends a few minutes thinking clearly about his goal. He repeats simple statements like, "I am working toward a better future. I will take small steps daily." At first, nothing changes, but he keeps doing it. Slowly, he starts taking small actions. He learns one new skill, then another. He becomes more focused. Over time, these small steps start adding up. After months, his situation begins to improve. What changed? Not luck, not magic, just his thinking pattern, which changes actions. The chapter is basically teaching that your mind can be trained, and once trained, it can help you move in the right direction. But there is one important thing to remember. Just repeating words without action will not help. The repetition is meant to guide your actions, not replace them. If John keeps saying, "I will be successful," but does nothing, nothing will change. But if he uses that thought to push himself to act, then it becomes useful. So the real process is simple. Decide what you want. Repeat that goal in your mind regularly. Build belief step by step, and then take small, consistent actions. Over time, your belief becomes stronger because of your actions, and your actions become better because of your belief. In the end, the message of this chapter is very clear. Your mind is not fixed. It learns from what you feed it. If you feed it doubt again and again, it will grow doubt. If you feed it confidence and purpose, it will grow those instead. So the real question is not, can you succeed? The real question is, what are you telling your mind every day? Because whatever you repeat the most, your mind will accept. And whatever your mind accepts, your life slowly starts to follow. Imagine this for a moment. Two people want the same thing. Both work hard. Both have talent. But one person somehow keeps moving forward, while the other stays stuck in the same place. Why does that happen? Is it luck? Is it talent? Or is it something else happening inside the mind? Let's understand this with a simple story. John works in a small office. Every day, he dreams of starting his own business. He has ideas. He even talks about them with his friends. But after some time, he says, maybe I'm not ready, or what if I fail? So he waits. Days pass, months pass, and nothing changes. On the other side, there's Sarah. She also wants to start something. She doesn't know everything. She also feels scared sometimes. But she keeps thinking about her goal again and again. She imagines how her business will look. She talks about it, plans it, and slowly starts taking small steps. After some time, she is actually running her own small business. So what made the difference? This is exactly what Chapter 4 of _Think and Grow Rich explains. This chapter talks about a very powerful idea called autosuggestion. It may sound like a big word, but the meaning is actually simple. It means talking to your own mind in a way that shapes your thoughts, your beliefs, and finally your actions. The main idea of this chapter is that your mind listens to what you keep telling it. If you repeat something again and again, your brain slowly starts to believe it, even if it was not true at the start. And once your brain believes something, it starts guiding your actions in that direction. Let's break this down in a simple way. Think of your mind like a garden. Whatever you plant there, it will grow. If you keep planting thoughts like, I can't do this, this is too hard, or I will fail, then those thoughts grow stronger. They become your belief. And then your actions follow that belief. You stop trying. You avoid risks. You stay safe but stuck. Now imagine you plant different thoughts. Thoughts like, I can learn this, I will find a way, or I can improve step by step. At first, these thoughts may feel fake. Your mind may even argue back. But if you repeat them again and again, slowly your brain starts accepting them. And when that happens, your actions change. You try more. You learn more. You move forward. This is autosuggestion. It is not magic. It is simply training your brain through repetition. Let's go back to John. Every time he thought about starting a business, he also told himself, I'm not ready. Even if he didn't say it loudly, he kept thinking it. That thought became stronger over time. His brain accepted it as truth, so his actions matched that belief. He delayed. He avoided. He stayed where he was. Now look at Sarah. She kept telling herself, I will figure out. She didn't know everything, but she kept repeating that thought. Slowly, her brain started believing it. So instead of waiting, she took small actions. She learned. She made mistakes, but she kept going. That is the power of autosuggestion. One important lesson from this chapter is that your thoughts are not random. You can choose them. You can guide them. Most people don't do this. They let negative thoughts come and stay. But this chapter says you should actively choose what you tell yourself. For example, if Mike wants to improve in school but keeps thinking, I'm bad at this, his mind will believe it. Then he will not try hard. He will give up quickly. But if he starts telling himself, I can improve with practice, even if he doesn't fully believe at first, something changes. He will try a little more. He will not quit so easily. Over time, his results will improve. Another important lesson is repetition. Saying something once is not enough. Your brain changes through repetition. Just like you don't learn a skill in one day, you also don't change your thinking in one day. You have to repeat the same positive, useful thoughts again and again. Think of it like learning to ride a bike. At first, you fall. You feel unsure. But with practice, your body learns. In the same way, your mind learns through repeated thoughts. The third lesson is that emotion matters. If you say something without feeling, it has less impact. But if you say it with some belief, some energy, it becomes stronger. For example, if Emma says, I will do well, in a dull way, it may not help much. But if she says it with focus and a bit of belief, it starts affecting her mindset more. Now, let's look at a simple journey to understand this better. Imagine a person named Alex. Alex wants to get a better job, but every time he thinks about applying, he feels nervous. He tells himself, there are better people than me, so he doesn't apply. Time passes. He feels stuck and frustrated. One day, he learns about this idea of autosuggestion. At first, he doesn't fully believe it, but he decides to try something simple. Every day, he starts telling himself, I am improving my skills. I can get a better job. He writes it down. He reads in the morning and at night. At first, it feels strange. His mind still says, this is not true, but he continues. After some time, something small changes. He starts feeling a little less afraid. He begins to learn new skills online. Then he updates his resume. Then he applies for one job. He doesn't get it, but instead of giving up, he reminds himself, I am improving. He applies again. Slowly, his confidence grows. And after some time, he gets a better opportunity. What changed? Not his situation at the start. What changed was his inner voice. And that inner voice changed his actions. This chapter is not saying that just thinking will make everything happen. It is saying that your thinking controls your actions, and your actions control your results. So if you want better results, you must first manage your thoughts. A very practical way to use this idea is to create simple sentences for yourself. These sentences should match your goal. For example, if you want to save money, you can tell yourself, I make smart choices with my money. If you want to get fit, you can say, I take care of my body every day. Keep it simple. Repeat it daily. Say it with some focus. Also, be careful about what you repeat in a negative way. Many people keep saying things like, I'm always unlucky, or nothing works for me. Even if they say it casually, their brain listens. And over time, it becomes belief. So this chapter teaches you to become aware of your self-talk. You don't have to be perfect. Negative thoughts will still come. That is normal. But instead of letting them stay, you can replace them with better thoughts. In the end, the message of this chapter is simple but powerful. Your mind is always listening to you. What you repeat becomes what you believe, and what you believe shapes what you do. So if you want to change your life, start by changing what you tell yourself every day. It may feel small at first. It may feel slow. But just like a seed takes time to grow into a tree, your thoughts take time to shape your reality. Stay consistent, stay aware, and guide your mind in the direction you want to go. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to grow faster, learn faster, and succeed faster? Not because they are smarter, but because they are not doing everything alone? That one simple difference can change everything. Let's start with a simple story. John wanted to start a small online business. He had ideas, he worked hard, and he spent hours watching videos and reading articles. But after months, nothing really worked. He kept getting stuck. One day, he met Mike and Sarah. Mike understood marketing. Sarah knew design. They started talking, sharing ideas, and helping each other. Slowly, things began to change. Problems that once felt impossible became easy. Within a few months, John's business finally started growing. What changed? John didn't suddenly become smarter. He simply stopped working alone. This idea connects directly to Chapter 5 of the book _Think and Grow Rich _ by Napoleon Hill. This chapter is called The Power of the Master Mind. The name may sound complex, but the idea is actually very simple. It means that when two or more people work together with a clear goal, their combined thinking becomes stronger than one person thinking alone. Let's break this down in the easiest way possible. Imagine your brain is like a small battery. It has power, but only up to a limit. Now imagine connecting your battery with someone else's battery. The total power increases. Now connect 3 or 4 people. The power grows even more. This is what the book is trying to explain. When people work together in the right way, their ideas, energy, and thinking multiply. But here is the important part. It is not just about being in a group. It is about working together in a positive and focused way. If people argue, compete, or don't trust each other, the power does not grow. In fact, it becomes weaker. So the mastermind is not just a group. It is a group with harmony, trust, and a shared goal. The main idea of this chapter is that no one becomes truly successful alone. Every successful person has help. Sometimes it is friends, sometimes mentors, sometimes a team. Even if you don't see them, they are there in the background. The book says that when minds connect in a positive way, a new kind of intelligence is created. Now let's explain this logically. When you talk to someone, they give you ideas you never thought of. They see problems differently. They notice mistakes you missed. So your thinking becomes bigger and better. It's not magic. It's simply the result of sharing and combining thoughts. Let's look at the first important lesson. 2 minds are better than 1, but only when they work in harmony. Think about John again. Before meeting Mike and Sarah, he was trying everything alone. If something failed, he had no one to guide him. But Wade joined others. They shared ideas and corrected each other. Mike could say, "This marketing plan won't work," and Sarah could suggest a better design. John saved time, avoided mistakes, and improved faster. The key here is that they respected each other and worked toward the same goal. If they argued all the time, nothing would improve. Now think about your own life. Maybe you are studying, learning a skill, or trying to earn money online. If you try to do everything alone, it will take longer. But if you connect with the right people, you learn faster. For example, if Emma is learning coding and she joins a small group where others are also learning, they can solve problems together. If she gets stuck, someone else may already know the answer. This saves time and builds confidence. The second lesson is that you should carefully choose who you work with. Not everyone will help you grow. Some people may bring negative thinking, doubt, or confusion. If someone always says, "This won't work," or "You can't do it," your energy will drop. The book explains that your environment matters a lot. The people around you influence how you think and act. Let's say Mike wanted to improve his skills, but he kept spending time with people who wasted time and made fun of his goals. Slowly, he would lose focus. But when he joined John and Sarah, who were serious and positive, his mindset changed. He started thinking bigger and working better. So the lesson is simple. Stay close to people who push you forward, not pull you back. The third lesson is that sharing ideas creates new ideas. This is very important. Many people think they need a perfect idea to start, but the truth is, ideas grow through discussion. When you talk about your idea, others add to it. They improve it. They see things you don't see. For example, Sarah had a simple idea to design logos. It was basic at first, but when she discussed it with John and Mike, they added new angles. Mike suggested selling to small businesses. John suggested offering packages instead of single designs. The idea became bigger and more useful. Alone, Sarah might not have thought of these improvements. Now let's look at a small journey to understand this better. Imagine a person named Alex. Alex wants to earn money online, but feels confused. He watches videos, tries things, but keeps failing. This is a problem. He is stuck and feels alone. Then Alex decides to join a small online group of people who are also learning. At first, he is shy, but slowly he starts asking questions. He shares his struggles. Others share their experiences. He learns faster. He avoids mistakes. His understanding grows. This is a turning point. Finally, Alex starts applying what he learned with support from the group. He becomes more confident, and his results improve. This is a solution. The only big change was that Alex stopped working alone and started learning with others. The book also explains that when people work together with trust and respect, they create a kind of energy that pushes everyone forward. Let's understand this in a simple way. When you are around motivated people, you feel motivated. When you see others working hard, you feel like working too. This shared energy keeps you going even when things are tough. But remember, this only works when the group has a clear goal. If everyone is moving in different directions, there is no power. It becomes noise. So always make sure that the people you connect with have similar goals or at least a clear direction. Another simple example is studying for exams. If a group of students studies together properly, they can help each other understand difficult topics. But if the group turns into chatting and wasting time, it becomes useless. So the way the group works matters more than the group itself. Now let's bring everything together. Chapter 5 is teaching one powerful idea. You grow faster when you connect your mind with the right people. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing to learn, share, and work together. In real life, this can be very simple. Talk to people who are doing what you want to do. Join small groups where people are learning similar things. Share your ideas without fear. Listen to others. Help them when you can. Slowly, you will notice that your thinking becomes sharper and your progress becomes faster. One more important thing to understand is that asking for help is not weakness. Many people feel shy or think they should do everything alone. But the truth is, even the most successful people rely on others. They build teams, they take advice, and they learn from people around them. This is not a shortcut. It is a smart way to grow. So if you feel stuck right now, don't just work harder. Work smarter by connecting with others. Find people who are serious, positive, and willing to grow. Share your journey with them. Learn together. Improve together. In the end, the message is very clear. Your mind is powerful, but it becomes much more powerful when it joins with other focused minds. Success is not just about what you know. It is also about who you learn with and how you work together. Imagine this. Two people are given the same simple idea. One person ignores it and moves on. The other person plays with that idea, changes it, improves it, and turns it into something useful. After some time, the second person builds a successful business from it. What made the difference? Not luck, not money, just one thing: the way they used their imagination. Let's take a short story. John works at a small store. Every day, he sees customers struggling to carry too many bags. One day, he thinks, what if there was a better way to carry things? He imagines a simple bag with wheels. At first, it sounds silly, but he keeps thinking. He draws it on paper. He talks to a friend. He improves the design. After some time, he creates a product that people actually want. Now, John is not just a store worker. He is someone who solved a problem using his imagination. This is what Chapter 6 of the book _Think and Grow Rich is all about. It talks about imagination, but not in a dreamy or unrealistic way. It explains how imagination is a practical tool. It shows how new ideas are formed and how people can use those ideas to create real success. The main idea of this chapter is simple. Everything you see around you is first an idea in someone's mind. A phone, a car, a business, even a small product. Someone imagined it first, then they worked on it. So imagination is not just for fun. It is a starting point for creating something new. The book explains that there are two types of imagination. The first one is called synthetic imagination. This means taking ideas that already exist and combining them in a new way. The second one is called creative imagination. This means getting completely new ideas that feel fresh and different. But both types are useful, and both can help you grow if you use them correctly. Let's understand this in a very simple way. Think about Sarah. She wants to start a small food business. She doesn't know what to do. Then she looks around. She sees that people like fast food, but they also want something healthy. So she mixes these two ideas. She creates quick, healthy meal boxes. This is synthetic imagination. She didn't invent food. She just combined ideas in a smart way. Now think about Mike. He notices that people hate waiting in long lines. He starts thinking deeply about it. After some time, he comes up with an app idea that lets people book a time slot before they arrive. This idea feels new. This is creative imagination. He created something that was not obvious before. So the first important lesson is this. You don't always need a completely new idea. You can take simple ideas and improve them. Most successful people don't invent something from nothing. They just think better about what already exists. The second lesson is that imagination needs action. Just thinking is not enough. Many people get ideas, but they do nothing with them. That is why nothing changes. An idea only becomes powerful when you act on it. Let's go back to John. If he only thought about the bag with wheels but never tried to design it, nothing would happen. The idea would just stay in his mind and disappear. But because he took action, the idea became real. This is where many people get stuck. They wait for a perfect idea, or they think their idea is too small, or they feel scared that others will laugh. Because of this, they never take the next step. The book makes it clear that ideas grow when you work on them, not when you wait. The third lesson is about feeding your imagination. Your mind needs input to create ideas. If you do the same thing every day and never think differently, your imagination becomes weak. But if you observe problems, ask questions, and stay curious, your imagination becomes stronger. For example, Emma travels to work every day. She notices small problems. People struggle with parking. Buses are always crowded. She starts thinking, what can be improved? Slowly, her mind starts connecting ideas. One day, she thinks of a simple carpool system. That idea came because she was paying attention. This shows something important. Imagination is not magic. It is a process. You observe, you think, you connect ideas, and then you act. Now let's look at a small journey to understand everything clearly. David is a college student. He wants to earn money but has no clear plan. At first, he feels confused. He thinks success comes only from big ideas. So he keeps waiting. Nothing happens. One day, he understands something simple. He looks around and notices that students struggle to find good study notes. He starts thinking, what if I collect the best notes and organize them properly? This is not a big or complex idea, but it is useful. He uses his imagination to improve it. He adds summaries, simple explanations, and practice questions. Then he shares it online. Slowly, more students start using it. Later, he turns it into a small paid service. David's journey shows a full cycle. First, he had a problem. Then he used his imagination to understand it. Then he created a solution. Finally, he took action. This is exactly what the chapter teaches. Another simple idea from this chapter is that ideas are everywhere. They are not limited to smart people or special people. Anyone can have ideas. The difference is in how you use them. Sometimes people think, I am not creative, but that is not true. Everyone has imagination. It just needs to be used. If you start asking simple questions like, what can be better? Or how can this be easier? Your mind will start working differently. Also, you don't need a big setup to start. You don't need a lot of money or resources in the beginning. Most ideas start small. What matters is clarity and action. The book also suggests writing down your ideas. This may sound very basic, but it works. When you write an idea, you can see it clearly. You can improve it step by step. If you don't write it, you might forget it or ignore it. For example, Sarah writes down her food business idea. Then she adds more details. What kind of food? What price? Who are the customers? Slowly, the idea becomes clearer. This makes it easier to act. There is also an important point about working with others. Sometimes your imagination becomes stronger when you share ideas with people. They can add new thoughts or improve your idea. For instance, Mike shares his app idea with a friend. His friend suggests adding reminders and location tracking. Now the idea becomes even better. This shows that imagination does not always have to be a solo process. But one thing to remember is this: not every idea will work. And that is okay. Some ideas will fail. But even failed ideas teach you something. They help you think better next time. So instead of fearing failure, it is better to try and learn. This keeps your imagination active and growing. Let's simplify everything into one clear understanding. Imagination is like a tool. If you use it, it becomes stronger. If you ignore it, it becomes weak. It helps you see opportunities that others miss. It helps you turn simple thoughts into useful results. At the end, the message of this chapter is very practical. Don't wait for perfect ideas. Start with simple thoughts. Observe problems around you. Use your imagination to think of solutions. Then take small steps to test those ideas. Success does not come from thinking alone. It comes from thinking and doing together. Your imagination gives you direction. Your action turns that direction into reality. So next time you get a small idea, don't ignore it. Ask yourself, can this solve a problem? If yes, spend time on it. Improve it. Test it. Because every big success once started as a small idea in someone's mind. That is the real power of imagination. Not dreaming, but creating. Most people don't fail because they are not smart. They fail because they keep waiting, doubting, and changing their mind again and again. Imagine this. John had a simple idea. He wanted to start a small online business. Nothing big, just something to earn extra money. He watched videos, read blogs, and even made a plan. But every time he was about to start, he stopped. One day he thought, maybe this idea won't work. Another day he thought, maybe I should wait for the perfect time. Weeks passed, then months passed. His idea stayed only in his mind. Meanwhile, his friend Mike had a similar idea. Mike did not overthink. He made a quick decision and started small. His first try was not perfect, but he learned and improved. After some time, Mike started earning. John was still thinking. This is what Chapter 7 of the book is about. It talks about the power of decision. The author explains that successful people make decisions fast and change them slowly. Unsuccessful people do the opposite. They take a long time to decide, and then they change their decision quickly when they hear others' opinions. The main idea is very simple. If you want success, you must learn to decide quickly and stick to your decision. This does not mean being careless. It means being clear and confident. When you keep delaying decisions, you lose time and energy, and many opportunities pass by. Think about it in a simple way. Life gives you chances, but these chances don't wait forever. If you keep saying, "I will decide later," you're actually saying no without realizing it, because later often becomes never. Let's understand this with another simple story. Sarah wanted to learn a new skill. She was confused. Should she learn coding or design or writing? She spent weeks comparing. She asked 10 people for advice. Each person gave a different opinion. This made her even more confused. Finally, she chose design. But after 2 weeks, someone told her coding is better. She changed again. Then someone said writing is easier. She changed again. After 3 months, she had started 3 things but completed nothing. Now look at Emma. She also wanted to learn a skill. She picked one after thinking for a short time. She chose coding. She did not ask too many people. She just started. At first, it was hard. She made mistakes, but she kept going. After 3 months, she had real progress. After 1 year, she became good at it. The difference is not intelligence. The difference is decision. One important lesson from this chapter is that fear is the biggest reason people cannot decide. People are afraid of making the wrong choice. They think, what if I fail? Or what will others say? Because of this fear, they keep waiting for a perfect answer. But here is the truth. There is no perfect decision. Every decision has some risk. Waiting does not remove risk. It only delays your progress. Another lesson is about other people's opinions. Many people depend too much on what others think. They ask everyone before making a decision. This sounds safe, but it actually creates confusion. Different people have different views. If you listen to all, you will not move forward. The book suggests that you should listen only to people who have real knowledge or experience. And even then, the final decision should be yours. Let's break this down in a very simple way. Imagine you are standing at a road with 2 paths. One path says start now. The other says wait and think more. If you choose the second path again and again, you will stay at the same place. But if you choose the first path, even if it is not perfect, you will move forward. And once you move, you can adjust your direction. This is another key idea. Decision does not mean you must be right from the start. It means you must start. You can correct mistakes later. But if you never begin, there is nothing to correct. Let's go back to John. One day, he realized something. He saw Mike growing. He understood that thinking more was not helping him. So he made a small decision. He said, I will start today, even if it is not perfect. He created a simple plan and took the first step. It felt uncomfortable. He was not fully confident, but he did not stop. Slowly, he started learning from real experience instead of just thinking. This shows the journey. First, there's a problem. Overthinking and delay. Then comes understanding. Realizing that waiting is not helping. Finally, the solution. Taking a clear decision and acting on it. Another simple example. Imagine you want to get fit. You keep thinking, I will start from next Monday. Then Monday comes and you say, I will start from next month. This keeps going. But the moment you decide, I start today, everything changes. Even if you do just 10 minutes, you have begun. That small decision creates momentum. The book also explains that strong decisions build confidence. Every time you decide and act, your mind learns that you can trust yourself. But when you keep delaying, your confidence becomes weaker. You start doubting yourself more. Think about a child learning to ride a bicycle. If the child keeps thinking, I might fall, and never tries, they will never learn. But if they decide to try, they may fall once or twice. But soon they learn balance. Decision leads to action. Action leads to learning. Learning leads to success. One more important point is about persistence. Decision is not just about starting. It is also about staying on your path. Many people start something but quit quickly. This happens because their decision is not strong. A strong decision means you have chosen your path, and you will continue even when things get hard. Let's say Mike started his business. In the beginning, he did not earn much. There were problems. Some days were slow, but he did not change his decision. He kept working. Because of this, he improved and finally succeeded. If he had changed his mind every week, he would not reach anywhere. So, what can you learn from this chapter in simple terms? First, make decisions faster. Do not wait forever for the perfect moment. Second, do not depend too much on others' opinions. Listen, but decide yourself. Third, once you decide, stick to it and take action. And fourth, understand that mistakes are part of the process, not something to fear. In daily life, this can be very simple. If you want to start something, start small. If you want to learn something, pick one and begin. If you have an idea, test it. You don't need everything to be perfect. You just need to move. At the end, the message is clear. Success is not only about big ideas. It is about simple actions taken with clear decisions. People who succeed are not always the smartest. They're the ones who decide and act while others are still thinking. So next time you find yourself stuck, ask yourself one question. Am I waiting too much? If the answer is yes, then make a decision, even a small one, because a small step forward is always better than standing still. Imagine this. Two people start at the same place. Same school, same skills, same chances. After a few years, one is confident, building something big, meeting new people, growing fast. The other is stuck, unsure, and afraid to move forward. What changed? It was not luck. It was not talent. It was something much simpler, but very powerful. Let's look at a short story. John is a shy guy. He has good ideas, but never shares them. In meetings, he stays quiet. He feels nervous talking to others, especially new people. He thinks, what if I say something wrong? So he says nothing. On the other hand, his friend Mike is not smarter than him, but Mike talks to people. He shares ideas. Sometimes he makes mistakes, but he keeps going. Slowly, people start noticing Mike. He gets better chances. John watches all this and feels confused. He wonders why he is not moving ahead, even though he works hard. Now this is where chapter 8 of the book _Think and Grow Rich _ comes in. This chapter talks about something called sexual transmutation. That sounds like a very complex or strange term, but the idea is actually simple when we break it down. It means taking a strong natural energy inside us and using it for something useful, like success, creativity, or growth. Let's understand this in a very simple way. Every human has strong emotions and energy. One of the strongest energies is a desire to connect with others, to be liked, to feel important, and to attract attention. This energy can push a person to act, to speak, to create, and to improve. But if this energy is not controlled or directed, it can also distract a person or make them confused. The book explains that successful people learn how to take this strong energy and use it in the right direction. Instead of letting it distract them, they turn it into focus, confidence, and action. This is what transmutation means. It means change in the form of energy, like turning heat into power or turning pressure into movement. Let's go back to John. The problem with John is not that he has no energy or desire. The problem is that he is not using it in the right way. He feels nervous and keeps everything inside. His energy turns into fear. Mike, on the other hand, uses his energy to talk, connect, and try new things. Even if he feels nervous, he still acts. His energy turns into growth. One key lesson from this chapter is that strong emotions can be a powerful fuel. Think about times when you feel very excited or very motivated, or even when you want to impress someone. That feeling gives you energy. It makes your mind active. It pushes you to do more. If you learn to control that feeling and direct it toward your goals, you can achieve much more. For example, Sarah wants to start her own small business. She feels excited about her idea, but also nervous about what others will think. Instead of letting that nervousness stop her, she uses her excitement to plan, learn, and take action. She talks to people, asks questions, and improves her idea. Slowly, her confidence grows. Her energy is not wasted. It is used in a focused way. Another important lesson is that this energy increases creativity. When your mind is active and full of strong feelings, you think better ideas. You solve problems faster. But this only happens when you are not distracted. If your mind is always scattered, jumping from one thing to another, this energy is lost. Let's say Mike wants to improve at his job. He feels a strong desire to succeed and be respected. Instead of wasting time on random things, he uses that feeling to learn new skills. He reads, practices, and talks to experienced people. His mind becomes sharper. He starts getting better ideas at work. His boss notices this. This is not magic. It is simply using energy in the right direction. The chapter also explains that as people grow older, many forget how to use this energy. They either ignore it, suppress it, or let it control them in a negative way. But successful people learn to guide it. They stay focused on their goals. They don't let small distractions pull them away. Think about a student preparing for an exam. He feels pressure and strong desire to do well. One student uses that feeling to study daily, revise, and practice. Another student feels the same pressure, but spends time worrying and avoiding work. Both have the same energy, but the result is different because of how they use it. This brings us to another simple idea. Energy by itself is neither good nor bad. It depends on direction. Like a river, if the river flows in the right direction, it can help grow crops and support life. If it floods in the wrong direction, it can cause damage. Your inner energy works the same way. Now let's connect everything into a small journey. John starts feeling stuck. He notices Mike moving ahead. At first, he feels jealous and confused. Then he starts thinking. He realizes that he also has ideas and energy, but he is holding himself back. He decides to change one thing. He starts speaking once in every meeting. Just one small point. At first, his voice shakes, but he continues. Slowly, he feels more comfortable. His energy, which was earlier turning into fear, now turns into action. After a few months, people start listening to him. He feels more confident. His growth begins. The solution was not a big secret. It was just learning to use his inner energy in the right way. One more example. Emma wants to become better at drawing. She feels a strong desire to improve and show her work to others. Instead of just dreaming, she uses that feeling to practice daily. She studies different styles, tries new ideas, and keeps improving. Her strong desire becomes her driving force. Over time, she becomes very skilled. So the main idea of this chapter is simple. You already have powerful energy inside you. You don't need to create it. You just need to guide it. When you feel strong emotions like desire, excitement, or even attraction, don't let them distract you. Use them to focus on your goals. Turn that energy into action, learning, and creativity. This is not about ignoring feelings. It is about using them wisely. It is about understanding that your mind works best when it has strong, clear direction. Without direction, energy gets wasted. With direction, it creates results. In real life, you can start small. When you feel excited about something, take action on it. When you feel nervous, don't run away. Use that feeling as a signal that something important is happening. When you want to impress others, don't just think about it. Improve your skills and show your work. Over time, this habit builds confidence, and confidence creates more action, and action creates results. In the end, the message is very clear. Success is not only about working hard. It is also about using your inner energy in a smart way. The same energy that can distract, you can also build your future. The choice is yours. If you learn to guide your energy instead of fighting it or wasting it, you will slowly see changes. You will think better, act more, and grow faster. And just like John, you will move from feeling stuck to moving forward with purpose. Have you ever wanted something badly, started working for it, and then slowly gave up when things got hard? Most people do. But what if the real difference between success and failure is not talent, not luck, but simply not giving up? Let me tell you a quick story. John wanted to start a small online business. In the beginning, he was excited. He made plans, watched videos, and started working every day. But after a few weeks, things didn't go as expected. He didn't make money. People didn't respond. Slowly, his excitement turned into doubt. Then one day, he stopped working on it. Not because it was impossible, but because it felt too hard. Now, here's the important part. Another person, Mike, started something similar. He also faced problems. He also failed many times. But instead of stopping, he kept trying. He changed his approach, learned from mistakes, and continued. After some time, things started working for him. So what was the difference between John and Mike? It was persistence. This is exactly what Chapter 9 of the book _Think and Grow Rich talks about. The chapter focuses on one powerful idea. Persistence is a key that turns desire into reality. In simple words, if you keep going, even when things are hard, your chances of success become much higher. Let's understand this in a very simple way. When you start anything new, your mind is full of energy. You feel excited. You believe you can do it. But after some time, problems come. Maybe things don't work. Maybe people don't support you. Maybe you feel tired. At this point, most people stop, not because they cannot succeed, but because they stop trying. The book explains that success is not about starting strong. It is about continuing when it becomes difficult. Persistence means you keep moving forward. Even when progress is slow, it means you don't let temporary failure stop you. It means you stay focused on your goal, even when you feel like quitting. Now, let's break this into simple lessons. The first lesson is that persistence comes from a strong desire. If you really want something, you are more likely to keep going. Think about it. When you truly want something, you don't give up easily. But when you are not serious, even small problems feel big. For example, Sarah wanted to learn a new skill. At first, she was just curious. She tried it for a few days, then stopped. Later, she had a clear reason. She wanted to earn money using that skill. This time, even when it was hard, she continued. The difference was her desire became stronger. So if you want to become persistent, first ask yourself, do I really want this? If the answer is yes, your actions will follow. The second lesson is that persistence is built through habit. It is not something you're born with. You build it slowly. Think about exercising. The first day is hard. The second day is also hard. But if you keep doing it daily, it becomes easier. The same is true for persistence. When you keep working regularly, your mind becomes stronger. Mike, from the earlier story, didn't always feel motivated. Some days he felt tired. Some days he didn't feel like working. But he had a simple rule. He showed up every day, even if it was for a short time. This small habit made a big difference. So, persistence is not about working perfectly. It is about showing up again and again. The third lesson is that fear and doubt are the biggest enemies of persistence. Many people stop not because they cannot do it, but because they start thinking, what if I fail? Or what will others say? These thoughts slowly weaken your actions. You start delaying work. You lose focus. And finally, you stop. Emma faced this problem. She wanted to start something of her own. But every time she thought about it, she imagined failure. She imagined people judging her. Because of this, she never even started properly. Later, she changed her thinking. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, she focused on what she could learn. Slowly, she took small steps. And once she started taking action, her fear reduced. So the idea is simple. Fear grows when you don't act. It becomes smaller when you take action. Another important idea from this chapter is that most failures are temporary, but people treat them as final. Imagine you try something and it doesn't work. That is not the end. It is just feedback. It tells you what doesn't work. If you learn from it and try again, you move closer to success. But if you stop after the first failure, you never reach your goal. John stopped after facing problems. Mike continued and improved. The difference was how they looked at failure. Let's look at a simple journey. At the start, a person has a goal. They feel excited. Then they face problems. They feel confused. At this stage, they have two choices. Either stop or continue. If they stop, nothing changes. They stay where they are. If they continue, they learn. Slowly, they improve. Over time, their efforts start showing results. This is how persistence works. It doesn't give instant success. It gives gradual progress. The book also suggests that having a clear plan helps you stay persistent. When you know what to do next, it is easier to continue. When you are confused, it is easier to quit. For example, if you want to learn something, having a daily plan helps. Instead of thinking too much, you simply follow the next step. Another helpful thing is surrounding yourself with people who support your goal. When you talk to people who are also trying to improve, you feel encouraged. When you are around negative people, you feel discouraged. So your environment matters. Now, let's bring everything together in a simple way. Persistence is not about being perfect. It is about not giving up. It is about continuing even when you feel like stopping. It is about understanding that success takes time. If you have a strong desire, build a daily habit, control your fear, learn from failure, and follow a simple plan, you naturally become persistent. And when you become persistent, your chances of success increase a lot. Think about your own life. Is there something you started but left in the middle? Maybe you didn't fail. Maybe you just stopped too early. If you go back and continue, things might look different this time. The main message of this chapter is very clear. Most people are not defeated by problems. They're defeated by giving up. If you keep going, even slowly, you are already ahead of many people. So next time things feel hard, remember this simple idea. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep going. That's where real change begins. Have you ever noticed that sometimes your best ideas come when you're talking to someone else, not when you're sitting alone? It feels like your mind suddenly becomes faster, clearer, and more creative. Like problems that felt heavy alone become lighter when shared. Now imagine if this is not just random, but something you can actually use on purpose to become more successful in life. That is exactly what this idea is about. Let's start with a simple story. There's a person named John who wants to start a small business, but he feels stuck. He has ideas, but they are messy. He is unsure what will work. One day, he starts talking regularly with his friends Mike and Sarah. Mike is good at planning. Sarah understands people well, and John is good at ideas. At first, they just talk casually, but slowly something changes. When they sit together and discuss problems, new ideas start appearing that none of them could think alone. Even simple decisions become clearer. John starts noticing that when they think together, it feels like their minds are combining into something stronger than just three separate people thinking alone. Now, this idea is at the center of the chapter we're talking about from the book, Think and Grow Rich. This chapter is often called the mastermind concept. The main idea is very simple. When two or more people work together in the right way, their combined thinking becomes more powerful than individual thinking. It is not about magic or anything strange. It is about how human minds can support, challenge, and improve each other when they're focused on the same goal. The author explains that when people come together with a shared purpose, they can create better ideas, better plans, and better solutions. This is because each person brings different knowledge, experience, and thinking style. One person may see a problem in one way, while another sees something completely different. When these views combine, the final idea becomes stronger and more complete. One important lesson from this idea is that working alone has limits. When a person only relies on their own thinking, they are limited by their own knowledge and experience. For example, if Emma tries to solve every problem in her work alone, she will often get stuck. She might think she has explored all options, but in reality, she is only seeing things from one angle. But when she discusses the same problem with others, new solutions appear that she never considered before. This shows that alone thinking can be helpful, but it is incomplete. Another key lesson is that the right group of people matters a lot. It is not just about being around people, but about being around people who are focused and supportive. If Mike surrounds himself with people who also want to improve, learn, and solve problems, then every conversation becomes useful. But if he spends time with people who are distracted or not serious, then the group energy becomes weak. The quality of thinking depends on the quality of the people involved. So choosing the right circle is very important. A third important lesson is that when minds work together, something new often appears that did not exist before. This can be understood in a simple way. Imagine each person has a flashlight in a dark room. One flashlight shows a small area. Two flashlights show more. But when many flashlights point in different directions and then combine, the room becomes much easier to understand. In the same way, when people share ideas, the final idea becomes sharper, clearer, and more powerful. It is not that a mysterious force appears, but that combining different thoughts creates better thinking results. Let's look at another simple example. Sarah wants to improve her school project. Alone, she can only think of a basic design. But when she discusses it with John and Mike, Mike suggests a more organized structure, and John suggests a creative way to present it. Sarah combines both ideas and adds her own touch. The final project becomes much better than what any of them could have done alone. This is the power of shared thinking in action. Now let's connect this idea to real life in a simple way. Think about any problem you face, like planning something, solving a challenge, or making a decision. If you only think alone, your answer will come from a single mind. But if you carefully discuss it with a few trusted people, your thinking expands. You may notice mistakes faster, find better options, and feel more confident about your decision. This is not because others are always right, but because combining different thoughts helps remove blind spots. At the same time, this idea does not mean you should depend completely on others. It means you should use both your own thinking and group thinking together. First, you think on your own to form a basic idea. Then you share it with others to improve it. This balance is important because it keeps your independence while also increasing your strength through collaboration. Now imagine John again from our earlier story. At first, he was confused and stuck. He felt like his ideas were not strong enough. But after regularly meeting Mike and Sarah, he started seeing improvement. He realized that every time they talked, something new came out of the discussion. Slowly, his business ideas became clearer and his confidence grew. The problems did not disappear, but he learned how to solve them better by using group thinking instead of struggling alone. The final message of this chapter is very practical. Success is not only about how smart one person is. It is also about how well a person can connect with others and build a strong thinking team. When the right people come together with a shared purpose, their ideas grow, improve, and multiply. This creates better results in any area of life, whether it's work, learning, or personal goals. So if we simplify everything, the lesson is this. Your mind becomes stronger when it works with other focused minds. Alone, you can do good, but together, you can do much better. And when you learn to choose the right people and work with them in a focused way, you unlock a level of thinking that is far beyond individual effort. That is the true idea behind this chapter. What if the strongest fuel for success is something you already have inside you, but you've never learned how to use it properly? Something so powerful that it can either push a person forward in life or quietly keep them stuck, depending on how they handle it. Most people never think about this idea deeply, but it quietly shapes ambition, creativity, and even confidence. And once you understand it in a simple way, it can completely change how you look at human motivation. Let's start with a simple story. There is a young man named John. He is smart, hardworking, and full of ideas. But there is a problem. John often feels restless. He has energy, but he does not know where to use it. Some days he feels highly motivated, and other days he feels distracted and confused. He wants success, but he keeps jumping from one goal to another without finishing anything. Because of this, his progress feels slow, and he starts doubting himself. One day, John meets an older mentor named Mike. Mike does not give him a magic trick or a shortcut. Instead, he asks a simple question. Do you know where your strongest energy is going? John does not understand the question at first. He thinks energy means working harder or sleeping less. But Mike explains something deeper. He says every person has a very strong inner drive, a natural force that can either be wasted through random distractions or used in a focused way to build something meaningful. When this energy is scattered, life feels confusing. But when it is directed, it becomes powerful enough to create big success. This idea comes from the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, especially the chapter often called The Mystery of Sex Transmutation. Now, don't get confused by the title. The main idea is not about anything physical or complicated. It is about how human desire and strong emotional energy can be redirected into creativity, focus, and achievement. The author explains that successful people are not always those with more talent or more luck. Many times, they are people who learn how to take strong inner energy and channel it into their goals instead of wasting on distractions or short-term pleasure. In simple words, it is about turning strong feelings into productive action. Now, let's understand the main idea in a very simple way. Every human has natural drives. One of the strongest drives is the desire for connection, recognition, excitement, and achievement. When this energy is not guided, it often gets scattered into habits that do not help long-term success, like too much distraction, laziness, or constant switching of focus. But when a person learns to guide this energy into a goal, it becomes a powerful force for creativity, learning, and hard work. Think of it like electricity. Electricity is powerful, but if it is not controlled, it is useless or even dangerous. But when it is directed properly into a bulb, it gives light. The energy is the same, but the direction changes everything. Now let's break down the key lesson from this idea in a simple way. The first lesson is that strong desire is not the enemy. It is actually a source of power. Many people think they need to remove or suppress strong emotions to be successful. But the real idea is not suppression. It is direction. A strong desire can become focus, motivation, and discipline if it is guided properly. For example, if someone named Sarah wants recognition, she can either waste time seeking attention in random ways, or she can channel that same desire into becoming very skilled at something valuable. In both cases, a desire exists, but the outcome depends on how it is used. The second lesson is that focus gives direction to energy. Without focus, even strong motivation gets scattered. A person may start many things but finish nothing. But when focus is clear, even average effort becomes powerful over time. Imagine a person named Mike who decides to become good at coding. If he studies a little bit of coding, then switches to something else, then again changes his mind, his energy is wasted. But if he focuses on one path and keeps improving step by step, the same energy becomes progress. Focus turns potential into results. The third lesson is that the mind can convert emotions into creativity. When people feel strong emotions like excitement, frustration, or desire, they often don't know what to do with them. Some people react without thinking, while others learn to use those emotions as fuel. For example, if John feels frustrated about his current situation, he can either waste that frustration by complaining, or he can use it as motivation to improve his skills. The energy does not disappear. It only changes direction. Now, let's bring this into a real-life understanding. Imagine John again. After talking to Mike, he starts observing himself. He notices that he wastes a lot of time switching between small distractions. He also notices that when he is truly focused on something meaningful, he feels more alive and active. So he decides to change one thing at a time. Instead of trying to fix everything, he picks one goal and starts giving it daily attention. Slowly, he begins to feel more stable. His mind becomes less confused because his energy has a direction now. At first, it is not perfect. He still gets distracted, but now he understands something important. The problem was never lack of energy. The problem was lack of direction. This small shift in thinking starts changing his results. Now let's connect all of this into a simple journey. At the beginning, John had energy but no control. That created confusion. Then he learns that strong inner drive is normal and not something to fear. Next, he understands that focus is a key that turns energy into progress. Finally, he realizes that emotions are not problems to escape, but signals that can be used to fuel action. So the solution is not to become someone else. The solution is to understand yourself better and guide your natural energy in a clear direction. The book explains this idea in a deeper way, but in simple terms, it is about using your inner drive intelligently. When a person learns a skill, they stop feeling stuck. They stop jumping randomly from one thing to another. Instead, they begin building something step by step with consistency. The most important message is this: success is not only about working harder, it is about working with direction. When your inner energy, thoughts, and focus all move toward one goal, even slow progress becomes powerful over time. So if you take one simple idea from this, it is this: don't waste your energy in many directions. Learn to guide it into one meaningful path, and over time, that energy will quietly turn into results you never expected. Have you ever noticed that sometimes you keep doing the same thing again and again, even when you know it's not good for you? Like checking your phone again and again, or thinking, I can't do this, before even trying. It feels like something inside you is running on autopilot. That's exactly what we're going to understand today in a very simple way. using a powerful idea from the book Think and Grow Rich _. Let's start with a small story. There was a boy named John. John was an average student. Every time he got a math problem, he would immediately think, "This is too hard for me." He didn't even try properly. Because of this, he kept getting low marks. His friend Sarah, on the other hand, also found math difficult at first, but she had a different habit. Whenever she saw a hard problem, she would think, "Let me try step by step." Even if she made mistakes, she kept going. After some time, something interesting happened. John started believing he was bad at math, and Sarah started believing she could figure things out. Nothing magical changed in their brains overnight, but their thinking habits slowly shaped their results. Now, this idea is very close to what the book is trying to explain in chapter 12. The book talks about something called the subconscious mind, but let's not make it complicated. In simple words, think of your subconscious mind as the part of your brain that works automatically based on what you repeat again and again. It is like a silent assistant that follows instructions without asking questions. The main idea of this chapter is very simple. Whatever you repeatedly think, feel, and do becomes a habit, and those habits slowly control your life without you even noticing. Now, let's break this down into easy lessons. First important lesson: your mind learns from repetition, not from one-time thoughts. If John keeps saying, "I can't do math," again and again, his mind starts treating it like a fact. On the other hand, if Sarah keeps saying, "I can improve with practice," her mind slowly accepts that too. It's not about what is true or false in one moment. It is about what you repeat so many times that your brain starts believing it. Think about it like learning to ride a bicycle. The first day you fall again and again, but if you keep repeating the practice, your body learns it automatically. After some time, you don't even think about balancing. That is your subconscious working. It turns repeated actions into automatic skills. Second important lesson: your emotions make your thoughts stronger. When you think something with strong emotion, your mind remembers it deeply. For example, if Mike fails a test and feels very sad and keeps thinking, "I am a failure," that emotion can make the thought stick stronger in his mind. But if instead he thinks, "I failed this time, but I will improve," with determination, then that also becomes a strong pattern. So it is not just what you think, but also how strongly you feel it. Calm and repeated positive thinking builds good habits. Strong negative thinking builds limiting habits. Third important lesson: your daily focus decides your direction. Imagine Emma starts her day thinking about what she doesn't have. She keeps saying, "I don't have enough time. I don't have enough skills." Her mind slowly trains itself to look for problems everywhere. Now imagine another person, Lily, who starts her day thinking, "What can I improve today?" Her mind starts looking for solutions instead. Over time, both people may face the same life situations, but their results will be different because their automatic thinking system is different. Now let's connect this idea to real life in a simple way. Think of your mind like a garden. Every thought you repeat is like a seed. If you keep planting seeds of, "I can't do this," "I am not good enough," or "this is impossible," then those seeds grow into strong plants, and those plants become your habits. But if you plant seeds like, "Let me try, I can learn, and I will improve step by step," then you grow a completely different kind of garden. The problem is, most people don't notice what seeds they are planting. They just think thoughts randomly every day, and those thoughts slowly become their life pattern. Now let's go back to John's journey. At first, John believed he was just bad at math. That belief came from repeated failure and negative thinking. He never stopped to question it. Because of that belief, he stopped trying properly. His mind automatically avoided effort. That is subconscious behavior in simple form. Later, something changed. A teacher told John something very simple. "You are not bad at math. You just haven't trained your brain enough yet." This changed John's thinking. Now, instead of saying, "I can't," he started saying, "I am learning." At first, nothing changed in his marks, but something important changed inside him. He started trying again and again. Slowly, his brain started building new patterns. Problems that once felt impossible started feeling manageable. Not because math changed, but because his thinking pattern changed. This is a key understanding of the chapter. Your results in life often come from your automatic thinking patterns, not just your raw talent or situation. Let's simplify the solution from this idea. First, notice your repeated thoughts. If you keep thinking negative things about yourself, you need to catch it. Not fight it, just notice it. Like, oh, I always think I can't do this. Second, replace it with a simple, better thought. Not a perfect one, just a better one. Instead of I can't do this, say, I can try step by step. Your subconscious learns through replacement, not force. Third, repeat the better thought and action daily. Even small repetition is powerful. If Sarah studies a little every day instead of giving up, her mind slowly builds confidence. It doesn't happen in one day, but it happens surely over time. Now think about this carefully. Your mind is not fixed. It is like software that keeps updating based on what you feed it. If you feed it fear and doubt every day, it becomes a fearful mind. If you feed it practice, learning, and patience, it becomes a strong and steady mind. The biggest mistake people make is thinking that their current thoughts are permanent. But thoughts are not permanent. They are trained patterns. And any pattern can be changed with repetition. So if we put everything together, this chapter is telling us something very practical. Your life is not controlled only by big decisions. It is controlled by small, repeated thoughts and actions that your subconscious mind turns into habits. Once a habit is formed, it starts running automatically in your life. Finally, let's end with a simple takeaway. You don't need to change your entire life in one day. You just need to start noticing what you are repeating in your mind. Because whatever you repeat, you become. If you repeat doubt, your life feels limited. If you repeat learning and effort, your life starts expanding slowly but surely. Just like John learned math step by step, and Sarah built confidence through practice, your mind also follows the same rule. Small repetition creates big change over time. And that is the real message of this idea. Your subconscious mind is always learning from you. So make sure you are teaching it something useful every single day. Have you ever had a moment when you just knew something without knowing how you knew it? Like you suddenly felt something is not right, and later you turned out to be correct. Or you met someone and instantly felt they were trustworthy or not, even before they spoke much. It feels a little strange, almost like your mind is working faster than you're thinking. Today's idea is about that hidden ability and how it can play a big role in success, decisions, and even building a better life. Let's imagine a simple story first. A man named John is working on a small business idea. He has already tried many things, but nothing has worked well. One day, he is sitting quietly, thinking about whether he should continue or stop. His mind is confused. On one side, logic says stop because he is losing time and money. On the other side, something inside him quietly says, don't stop yet, there is still a way forward. He cannot explain it, but he feels it strongly. He decides to continue, and later he discovers a small change in his strategy that finally starts bringing results. He doesn't fully understand why he made that choice, but it worked. This idea connects to the last part of the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, especially chapter 13, often called the idea of the sixth sense. But we are not going to think of it as something magical or supernatural. Instead, we will understand it in a very simple and logical way. It is about how your mind becomes so trained, so experienced, and so full of patterns that it starts giving you fast answers without you even realizing the process. The main idea of this chapter is that successful people often reach a stage where their decisions are not only based on slow thinking or analysis. Instead, they start to get quick internal signals based on their past learning, experiences, and deep focus on their goals. This sixth sense is not something you are born with fully developed. It is something that grows over time when you deeply focus your mind on a goal and keep learning from experience. Think of it like this. Your brain is like a very powerful computer. At first, it needs time to process everything step by step, but the more data it collects, the faster it becomes at giving answers. After a long time, it can give you results almost instantly. That quick answer feels like intuition, but it is actually your brain recognizing patterns very fast based on everything it has seen before. One important lesson from this idea is that deep focus shapes better decision-making over time. Let's take another example. Sarah is trying to become good at managing small online projects. In the beginning, she makes many mistakes. She carefully studies everything and follows step-by-step instructions. But after months of experience, she starts noticing things quickly. She can look at a project and instantly sense if it will succeed or fail, even before checking all details. It is not magic. It is her brain remembering hundreds of past situations and comparing them in seconds. Another key lesson is that strong desire and consistent thinking about a goal can train your mind to notice useful ideas faster. When someone keeps thinking about one direction for a long time, their mind becomes sensitive to related opportunities. For example, Mike wants to build a small app. At first, he only understands basic ideas, but after months of learning, his mind starts noticing patterns everywhere. He sees how users behave, what problems they face, and what solutions might work. Ideas come to him even when he is not actively trying. This is because his brain is constantly working in the background, connecting information. A third lesson is that calm thinking helps this process work better. When the mind is too stressed or full of confusion, it cannot notice patterns clearly. But when someone takes quiet time to think, reflect, and organize ideas, their brain starts connecting information more clearly. For example, Emma is trying to solve a problem in her work. At first, she is frustrated and overthinking everything. Nothing makes sense. Later, she takes a short break, calms down, and then suddenly an answer comes to her mind. Again, it is not magic. It is her brain finally getting space to organize information properly. Now let's understand how a person moves through this journey. At the beginning, everything feels slow and confusing. Decisions are hard. People rely only on logic, advice, or trial and error. Mistakes happen often. But as experience grows, something changes quietly. The mind starts storing more situations, more outcomes, and more results. Slowly, patterns begin to form. After enough time, the person doesn't need to think through every detail. They can sense the direction quickly. This is why experienced people often make fast decisions that seem almost automatic. It is not because they guess better. It is because they have trained their brain with repeated learning. Their subconscious thinking becomes stronger than their conscious step-by-step thinking in certain situations. However, there is an important point to understand. This ability does not work well if a person is careless or does not learn from mistakes. The mind needs real learning, reflection, and attention. If someone keeps repeating the same actions without learning anything new, their intuition will not improve. It will only stay random. So the key is learning from experience, not just having experience. Let's bring it together in a simple way. Imagine John again. At first, he makes decisions slowly and carefully. He often doubts himself. But over time, he keeps learning from every success and failure. He thinks about what worked and what didn't. After many situations, his brain becomes like a trained system that quickly understands business patterns. One day, he faces a new challenge, and without knowing exactly why, he chooses a direction that turns out to be correct. This is a result of accumulated experience turning into fast internal understanding. The real message of this chapter is not to rely on guessing or random feelings. It is about building your mind through learning, focus, and experience so that your decisions become sharper over time. What feels like intuition is actually your brain doing advanced pattern recognition in the background. So if we simplify everything, it means this. When you keep learning deeply about something, your mind becomes so trained that it can guide you quickly without slow thinking. This guidance feels instant, but it is built on past learning. In daily life, this can help in many ways. Whether it is choosing opportunities, solving problems, or making decisions, your brain becomes better when you give it real experience and reflection time. The more you learn, the more your mind starts to recognize good and bad choices faster. In the end, the lesson is simple. Your mind is always learning, even when you don't notice it. If you guide it with focus, experience, and reflection, it becomes a powerful tool that helps you make better decisions quickly. What people call a sixth sense is really just a highly trained mind working silently in the background, helping you move in the right direction. What if I told you that most people are not stopped by lack of talent, not by lack of opportunity, but by something invisible inside their own mind, something that quietly whispers, "You can't do it." It's too risky. Now compare him with another person named Mike. Mike had the same fears in his mind. He also thought about failure, money loss, and what people might say. But Mike did something different. He didn't try to remove fear completely. He simply refused to obey it. He started small, made mistakes, learned, adjusted, and slowly built his business step by step. The difference between John and Mike was not intelligence. It was not luck. It was how they handled fear. This is exactly what the book _Think and Grow Rich _explains in its final lesson. This part of the book talks about something very important: the hidden fears inside every human mind and how they quietly stop people from becoming successful. The book explains that there are a few major fears that control most people's decisions. These fears are not physical things. You cannot see them, but you can feel them in your thoughts. The first fear is the fear of not having enough money. This fear makes people stay in safe jobs, even when they are unhappy. It makes them avoid risks even when opportunities are in front of them. The second fear is the fear of what other people will think. Many people stop trying new things just because they are worried about judgment. They imagine others laughing at them or criticizing them. Because of this, they avoid action completely. The third fear is the fear of illness or health problems. This fear makes people feel weak even when nothing is wrong. Sometimes they overthink small symptoms and become anxious, which stops them from focusing on their goals. The fourth fear is the fear of losing love or relationships. This fear makes people depend too much on others' approval. They avoid decisions that might upset someone, even if those decisions are important for their growth. The fifth fear is the fear of aging. Some people believe that after a certain age, they cannot start something new. They think opportunities are only for young people, so they stop trying. The sixth fear is the fear of death. This is the deepest fear for many people. It creates hesitation in taking bold steps, because people start thinking about extreme what-if situations instead of focusing on real possibilities. Now, the important idea of the book is not that these fears should disappear completely. The idea is that successful people learn to understand these fears and manage them logically. They do not let fear control their actions. Let's break this down in a very simple way. Imagine Sarah, who wants to become a writer. She is afraid that no one will read her work. That is fear of criticism. If Sarah listens to this fear, she will never write anything. But if she thinks logically, she will realize something important. Every successful writer once started with 0 readers. They improved by writing, not by waiting. So Sarah decides to write anyway. Her first work is not perfect. Some people ignore it. But she learns and improves. Slowly, she builds confidence. The fear does not disappear, but it becomes weaker because action replaces imagination. This is one of the key lessons from the book. Fear grows in inaction and weakens in action. Another important idea is that fear often looks bigger in the mind than in real life. When people think about failure, they imagine the worst possible result. But in reality, even failure usually brings learning, experience, and improvement. For example, if John tries a business idea and it does not work, he does not lose everything. He learns what not to do next time. That learning is valuable. The book also explains something very practical. The mind tends to repeat the thoughts we feed it. If a person keeps thinking, "I will fail," the mind starts believing it. If a person keeps thinking, "I will learn and improve," the mind starts looking for solutions instead of problems. So the direction of thinking matters more than the fear itself. Let's look at another simple situation. Emma wants to change her career path. She feels nervous because it is something new. Her fear says, "Stay where you are, it is safe." But logically, staying the same is also a choice, and it has its own risk: no growth. So Emma writes down 2 lists in her mind. One list is what she might lose if she changes. The other list is what she might lose if she never changes. When she compares both, she realizes that fear is making her focus only on one side. Once she sees a full picture, she feels clearer and more confident to move forward. This is a core idea of the lesson. Fear becomes weaker when you analyze it logically instead of reacting emotionally. The book also suggests that most fear is based on imagination, not reality. People often imagine problems that never actually happen. For example, Mike may think, "What if everyone rejects my idea?" But in real life, Rejection is not permanent. It is just feedback. It helps improve the idea. When Mike understands this, rejection stops feeling like a disaster and starts feeling like information. Another key learning is that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is taking action even when fear is present. Every successful person feels fear. The difference is they do not wait for fear to disappear before starting. They start, and fear slowly becomes smaller in the background. In simple words, success is not about having a fearless mind. It is about having a trained mind that does not stop at fear. Now, let's bring everything together in a small journey. John starts with fear and stops immediately. Mike starts with fear, but continues anyway. Sarah learns to write even when she feels nervous. Emma learns to analyze her thoughts instead of blindly following them. Slowly, all of them realize one truth. Fear is not a signal to stop. It is a signal to think more clearly and act more wisely. And the biggest lesson of this chapter is this. If a person can learn to recognize fear, question it logically, and still take small actions, then fear loses its power. It cannot control a person who keeps moving forward step by step. At the end, the message is simple. Every mind creates fears, but successful living is not about removing those fears completely. It is about understanding them, reducing their control, and choosing action over hesitation. When action becomes stronger than fear, progress becomes natural. Have you ever had a moment when a solution suddenly popped into your mind? Even though you were not actively thinking about it, it feels like the answer just appeared out of nowhere. You were confused for days, maybe even weeks, and then in a quiet moment, the solution came very clearly. That kind of moment is not magic. It is how your mind works when it reaches a deeper level of thinking. And today, we're going to understand that idea through the final chapter of a famous book called _Think and Grow Rich _. Let's begin with a simple story. Imagine a person named John who runs a small business. John has been struggling because his sales are going down. He has tried many things like changing prices, improving his product, and even advertising more. Nothing is working. One evening, he sits quietly, feeling frustrated. He talks to his friend Mike and another friend Sarah about the problem. They don't give him direct solutions, but they share different thoughts and experiences. John goes home still confused, but something interesting happens over the next few days. While doing simple daily tasks like walking or eating, a clear idea suddenly comes into his mind. It is a simple change in his business strategy that he never thought about before. He tries it, and slowly his business improves. This kind of sudden clarity is what we are going to understand today. The book _Think and Grow Rich explains how success is not just about hard work, but also about how your mind develops over time. The last chapter focuses on something called the sixth sense, but we are not going to treat it like something magical. Instead, we will understand it in a simple way. It is actually the ability of your brain to give you better ideas and decisions after collecting enough experience, thoughts, and focused attention over time. It is like your mind starts connecting dots without you forcing it. The main idea of this chapter is simple. When you train your mind with focused thinking, learning, and clear goals, it starts giving you better answers automatically. This happens because your subconscious mind keeps working even when you're not thinking directly about the problem. It collects information from your daily life, conversations, and experiences. Later, it combines everything and creates new ideas. This is why sometimes the best ideas come when you are relaxed and not under pressure. One important lesson from this idea is that your subconscious mind is always active. Think of it like a background worker in your brain. For example, imagine Sarah is trying to solve a difficult school project. She works on it for hours but still feels stuck. She goes to sleep thinking about it. The next morning, while brushing her teeth, she suddenly understands what she was missing. This happens because her brain continued working quietly in the background. It connected small pieces of information she already knew and formed a clear answer. So the lesson is simple. Even when you stop actively thinking, your mind does not stop working. Another important lesson is that clear focus is very powerful. If your mind is scattered with too many thoughts, it becomes harder for your subconscious mind to organize them. But when you focus on one goal clearly, your brain starts building a strong direction. For example, Mike decides he wants to improve his fitness. He keeps thinking about it daily, learns small things about health, and talks to people who are fit. After some time, he naturally starts making better food choices and becomes more active without forcing himself too much. This is not sudden magic. It is a result of repeated focus shaping his thinking pattern. The third lesson is about learning from discussions and teamwork. When John talked to Mike and Sarah, he did not get a direct answer, but their ideas helped his mind think in new directions. This is important because when you hear different opinions, your brain gets more material to work with. It is like adding more pieces to a puzzle. The more pieces you have, the easier it becomes to see the full picture. So, surrounding yourself with thoughtful people can help your mind grow stronger and smarter over time. Now, let's understand the full journey of John in a simple way. At first, John was stressed and confused. He was trying hard but not getting results. This is the problem stage. Then he started talking, thinking, and reflecting instead of rushing. This is the understanding stage. His mind slowly collected ideas, even when he was not fully aware of it. Finally, one simple idea came to him naturally, and he tested it in real life. That was the solution stage. His success did not come from one moment alone. It came from all the thinking he did before that moment. The book's message here is very practical. It tells us that your brain is not just for immediate answers. It is a system that improves over time. When you feed it good thoughts, focus on your goals, and keep learning, it becomes more powerful. Then it starts giving you better ideas automatically. You don't need to force creativity all the time. Instead, you build the conditions for creativity to happen naturally. Another simple way to understand this is to think of your mind like a garden. If you plant good seeds and take care of them daily, flowers will grow over time. But if you keep changing seeds every day or ignore the garden, nothing will grow properly. In the same way, if you keep focusing on one clear direction in life and support your thinking with learning and reflection, your ideas will become stronger and clearer. One more important point is patience. Many people give up too early because they expect instant answers, but the mind often needs time to process information. For example, Emma tries to solve a coding problem. She cannot solve immediately, so she takes a break. After a few hours, the solution suddenly becomes clear. This delay is not failure. It is the brain organizing information in the background. So patience is actually a part of smart thinking. When we connect all these ideas, we understand the main message of this chapter. Success is not only about effort in the moment, but also about how your mind develops over time. Your subconscious mind, your focus, your learning, and your environment all work together to create better thinking. When all of this becomes strong, you start experiencing better ideas naturally, almost like your mind is guiding you. In the end, the lesson is simple. If you want better results in life, don't just rush for answers. Train your mind to think clearly. Stay focused on your goals, learn from others, and give yourself time to reflect. Over time, your thinking becomes sharper and solutions start coming more easily. That is what this idea of the sixth sense is really about. It is not something magical outside you. It is a natural power of a well-trained and focused mind working at a deeper level. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this.